Good evening, everyone. My name is Rudy Page, and welcome to another Community Wellness Dialogues. And our subject, as always, is what your community pharmacy can do for you. Raj, good to see you again.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you for inviting me along. And it's lovely to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I think most of us know what our community pharmacies do. Most of us think we may know that, but the main thing, I guess, from a patient or citizen's point of view is that we provide medicines safely and promptly to people that need them. So the bulk of the work that a community pharmacy would do is making sure that the medicines get to the patients via prescriptions. But we also ensure that we provide clinical checks for those prescriptions. It's extremely important. The way we're structured is to make sure that prescriptions are clinically safe for the patients. So it's important that we check the prescriptions, and we also send those prescriptions out safely to patients and ensure that the medicines are the right ones that should be taken. So the other services that we provide, I'm sure Ian and Patricia will enlighten our colleagues on these, are we do also provide consultation services. So there's a new general practice community pharmacy consultation service that's been commissioned. This is primarily to shift patients from general practice into community pharmacy with low acuity, or what we call minor ailments, to the clinical care of that patient to be taken in community pharmacy. This is to alleviate pressure in general practice on the appointments, so that general practice is able to look after the more complex patients that they need to see to. So the bulk of the work that a community pharmacy does is obviously dispense prescriptions and also provide over-the-counter advice. Maybe Patricia, you want to give an insight in what your pharmacy also provides.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, majority of the work that we do would involve dispensing medication and making sure that it's appropriate for the patient. We're looking at the age, so generally the age, the dose that is going out to them, whether they're pregnant, are they elderly, what are the risk factors that are involved. So when you look at that prescription, you're looking at a whole range of things. It's quite a holistic thing. Aside from obviously then making sure that the prescription is going out to the right person, we're also then making sure that they know exactly how to use the medication that we're actually providing for them. And that's where we have that conversation. And I think most community pharmacies would say that the pharmacists prefer to actually speak to the patient themselves and hand out. That's the ideal scenario for us. But we are surrounded by well-trained support staff. So we have people who are trained to be either medicine counter assistants. We have, pharmacy technicians who are also actually registered with the General Pharmaceutical Council, and they tend to be a little bit better trained. They're MVQ level 3 trained. And we also have, dispensers who basically help us with them manually making sure that the prescription is as it should be before we check it out and make sure that it goes out to the patient. So when you come into a pharmacy, the people that you actually see working around there are not just counter assistants or sales assistants. They're actually trained to some level, either to deal with responding to symptoms, which are minor illnesses maybe, and knowing when to refer. And then, of course, you've got our dispensers who have been trained to also understand the medication that they're dispensing. And, we have our technicians who are, to a higher degree, are also registered semi-professionals who support the pharmacists. So you do come into a pharmacy and you're actually just getting that little bit more of quality service. From the point of view of what we do, aside from dispensing, of course, then we have services that go on in the community pharmacy, apart from the referral scheme where we're looking at minor illnesses. We're helping them to actually look after themselves. Health promotion and healthy living, which we all do now, and all pharmacies are actually registered as healthy living champions and healthy pharmacies. We do have to make sure that we are offering that healthy lifestyle advice. So it's about weight management, it's about exercising, making sure that we're signposting the patients to services that are available within their local community as well. So that's the other side of what we do, which very often you'd be able to actually be able to almost direct it by looking at the patient's prescription as well, and the conversations that you have with them. Okay. So yeah, we do.
Can I just ask Ian to come in on that, because Ian was a bit of a local champion when he was working in Bromley, especially with the public health services that pharmacies offer. So you'll find that pharmacies are commissioned to do essential services, mainly dispensing. We're commissioned to do advanced services, so that's like flu vaccinations and the new medicine service we talked about, and some local enhanced services. So smoking cessation was one of those, and I do believe Ian was a bit of a champion. I remember seeing his photo all the time. So Ian, can you just sort of talk about the public health services, and also how you use the whole team? It wasn't about you, it was about getting the whole team to actually deliver the outcomes for that particular population in, I won't say where, in Bromley.
Thanks for that, Raj. Yeah, just to add on what Patricia was saying there, yes, it is a holistic approach, and it is about using the skill set that you have within the pharmacy team, which incorporates your health champions, your pharmacy dispensers, your technicians, and it's everybody. And when delivering these sort of services, the public health service, you mentioned, smoking cessation is one of them, which I think we used to do well actually in Bromley, and we've done well. Pharmacy is at the epicenter of this, especially community pharmacists. We are easily approachable. I mean, research now tells us that every person is about 10 minutes away from a pharmacy, from their nearest pharmacy. So as an opinion, I've always seen that as pharmacists we've been not been recognized on what we can do, and things are changing. I mean, the NHS is now recognizing what the pharmacists can do in helping patients, especially alleviating pressures from the GPs. So we are good at doing some of these things and helping, especially now we can do blood pressures, there's a lot of things that your pharmacists can do. And even of late, we are talking of COVID. You mentioned, Raj, I'm working with NHS 11 service. So at NHS 11 service, we are tending to deal with urgent cases of patients that are meant to call us to discuss anything really, anything from any medical condition that you're not sure of what to do. The idea is to make sure that we triage patients, get them to the right place for the right, the right service that they need at the right time, each time as well. So again, pharmacists have been recognized in doing these jobs, in working in collaboratively with colleagues in community. They use this service called the community pharmacy, the medicine, for the medicine. Patricia, you might help me with this one. The SPCS, what is it called?
DMS, Discharge Medicine Service, or the New Medicine Service?
No, the
community pharmacy consultation service.
The consultation service, yes,
service,
which links to the minor ailments as well. Yeah. So again, that's another recognition of community pharmacy, and the skill set that we have. So I mean, there is great opportunity for us, and I think we are in the right position to be able to help our patients.
Thanks, Ian. You reminded me of something that I needed to mention. Is the actual impact of community pharmacy that we have seen during the pandemic. We have remained open all the way through the pandemic, and the teams have risen to the challenge immensely. This has been recognised by all the commissioners, NHS England and everybody. And now you're seeing more and more pharmacies will be providing the COVID vaccination, the booster dose, or many do also provide the flu vaccination service. And we've also been doing a special service within South East London called the COVID Champion Service, where we're actually engaging with our population to find out what are the reasons for hesitancy, or why are some of our cohorts not taking the vaccine. And it has been as yielded incredible data, and part of the reason why I'm here today, and part of the reason why Rudy is here, is we want to take the findings from that research we're doing in community pharmacy and take it into those populations that aren't responding well, and sort of provide information assurance and awareness so they're able to make an informed decision and take up the vaccine, COVID vaccination. And we know it's not a one-off dialogue. We know it's going to have to be at least 3, 4, 5, and 6 times if we're going to have to engage with these patients before we actually get them to a place where they feel, yes, I've got the right amount of information, I feel assured. Okay, now tell me where I can get this vaccine. So, you know, it is a very fascinating journey that we're on at the moment.
Great. So great for that overview from our community pharmacists. And Raz, that's a great segue now into the next part where we hear from the public and the business people who have an interest in Southeast London. So Hugh, pleased that you're here from Black Business Recommendation, and we've got Alex, community champion, and we've got Brenda, who's working on PCREF. So Hugh, I'll open up with you first, and thank you for being our host for this occasion.
Thank you very much, Rudy. Greetings to everyone. My name is Hugh Bellott. I am the founder of Black Business Recommendation, a Facebook group which has then from 25 members has moved on to 10,000 members, and now as a business. What I recognized when speaking to Rudy was the need for our community to look at the various aspects where a pharmacy can actually support those people who have questions about health, because we have a lot of businesses who are health orientated. It was also important to emphasize the need to look at the pharmacy as to where we can get support. And I think that it's a very opportunity really that we can actually use this service and for us to get to know what's happening. And because this is not a subject that we speak about when relating to business or wellness, it's always, it's the cultural aspect of wellness, as in this is what I know from my parents and so on, and this is what I use. But things have changed, and so we have to be more aware, and we have to ask the right people to help us with the right medication or just knowledge, so that we can impart onto our community. So I'm here and to support as much as I can. So as a learned person, I think thank you very much for all your support and giving us the information that we need. So I'll be using that to pass it on to everyone and make sure that we get
Thanks for that, Hugh. I'd like to go to Alex, then come to Brenda.
Right, hi. Let me just explain what I do other than the community champions, because I think it might help you to understand why I've joined this webinar tonight. I work. Yes, I'm one of the what at the last count I heard, and that's probably the end of last year, there was about 180. Now there may be more, there may be less of the COVID community champions, as we're sort of known as, working with public health, Lewisham Public Health. But I also work with the CCG on the public reference group, and also often on different groups with the South East London CCG. I'm a patient group member for Health Watch, South East London Health Watch, that is. I also I chair a patient group at South Lewisham Group Practice, which is part of the modality group, which you've probably all heard of. And I get involved with public health on other things as well, working with the Obesity Alliance and this sort of thing. And I'm also on the borough-based diabetes board. So I've got my fingers in a few a few pies. I call it sticking my oar in. But with the community champions program, what's being looked at now, and they're just taking part in survey. There were surveys going on. Last week, I was part of the focus group on how we can extend that, then rather than have it just as COVID. That how can we use the group of people to extend it. Now, what we do is we get the correct, what we've been doing under COVID is getting the correct information out to people. So we get emails out with different things. This morning one came in with where the different vaccination centres are, where the vaccination bus is going to be, and etc. But we also go onto the government websites when there's changes in lockdowns or in restrictions or whatever. And we will then send out the correct, what I tend to do on my part is I would copy and paste and send it and then say where that information has come from. So if it's a government website, I will put the government website on there and say this is the information on there, so people can look at it and gain more information if they need it. Also NHS information as well. So what we're looking at the moment, as I say, is expanding that. And one of the things has been to do with diabetes and things like blood pressure, etc. So you can pass that information on to people. My network is linked to other networks. So we have, I don't know if any of you have heard of Table Talk.
Yeah, I have.
Well, Rachel from Table Talk tends to go around different venues. She's been going a couple of years or so now, whereas I've been running our network, which is local groups and organisations. I've also got the patient experience manager at Lewisham Hospital, social prescribers, and obviously information is passed to GPs and as nurses, as I find it useful, as I think I should say it will be useful for them. But so Table Talk goes round physically around different venues when it's not obviously COVID times, and she will give information out to people on what's on with regard to health and well-being. So that's basically what we're, as I say, with the community champions, that's basically what we're looking at the moment. And I think this sort of thing would be ideal for that, and it would be worthwhile talking to Catherine at Public Health and seeing how you can perhaps work together on using this as a network, because it is a great way of getting information out. I know people use Facebook, but what you've got to bear in mind, a lot of the younger ones don't use Facebook now. They're using things like TikTok. I don't use any social media, I have to say. I get concerned about what happens sometimes on social media, so I keep off it. I use a WhatsApp and that's it. But I think, it's looking at different ways of communicating what you're about and what you're looking to do. I think as well.
That's really great, Alex. And I would very, very much welcome working with your network to actually, I think the message that we're actually giving is about community wellness, and that message is about the accessibility of community pharmacy to deliver that message to networks, and it may need to go to each individual network and sort of propagate the message that this is the community pharmacy offer. I've written a strategy document with NHS in the London region called the London Offer, which kind of outlines what community pharmacy is and how we want to deliver services to our patients. And so, I mean, even with Hugh, I think it's great meeting. I mean, part of the joys of my job is we meet new people and we network with new people, and you learn so much off them. What you want to do is connect. And I think that's the vision that NHS England has about the primary care networks. It's about local people coming together and saying, you know what, let's look after our populations ourselves. And I think that's really been one of the key successes of the community wellness dialogues that we've had with Rudy and others. I mean, it was really brilliant on Sunday when we were at the church. There was a lot of energy. There was a lot of people wanting to know information so that they can make the right decision. And if we can provide that in community pharmacy, I think that would be great.
And Hugh,
I'm always happy if you want me to network anything out. I'll put the email address for the network. Obviously, you know, I would need your consent to network it out. But if you send me something and just ask me if I'll pass it on, always happy to do that. And equally, if you want to go onto the network and receive other things, because of GDPR, we obviously need your consent for that. But bear in mind, if you do want to go on it, you will get information on anything to do with health and well-being. There may be other bits and pieces that sometimes we get DWP, which is Department of Works and Pensions, send useful information out, which is not, people think it's not a part of health and well-being, but it is, because people get concerned when they haven't got enough money and their benefits are being stopped or changed or whatever. So it is all linked, sort of kind of linked. But you would get other information, and it may well be that you would get information from more than one source. So I might send it to you, and then somebody else would send it to you as well. So I'll put the email address in the chat, and then you know, if that's going to be useful.
And just to underline the point, Alex, that's why we agreed that we talk about community wellness. So it was that holistic approach from community pharmacists. And then just to reiterate a point that Hugh made, Raj, when he said about communities, they have a custom and practice as it relates to culture. So to then find people with the science background, the training, the trusted members of their own community on platforms, providing the information, the reassurance and the confidence so that they can make the choices as it relates to their health, it's a way of ensuring that we get that improvement for all communities, regardless of background and status.
Absolutely, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Right, coming to Brenda. Sorry, Hugh, were you going to say something?
Yes. On a personal note, I have seen the development of the pharmacies and how they're now so interconnected with the doctor's surgeries that people can actually see that, you know, there is not a necessary need to go to the doctors when you can actually go to the pharmacy first. And for myself, as an asthmatic, you know, I've got so much support from the pharmacy who have actually sat down with me and spoken to me and just double checked what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And that is one of the key areas that, you know, as a community, we need to understand the various ailments that we suffer from, and to be able to get that conversation and, you know, knowing that there's a diagnosis and someone who understands implicitly what happens when you go through these processes, that is invaluable. So I really do appreciate, and I'd like to say thank you to all the pharmacists out there who are actually doing what they're doing, because we need to recognize that more and open up the door so that our whole community and everyone understands and supports that service.
That's appreciated, Hugh. That's really appreciated.
That's a great message, Hugh. Brenda, over to you.
Yes. You introduced me as being on the PCREF. Yes, I am a member of the South London and Maudsley Involvement Register, and I am a carer for 2 members of my family who, for one reason or another, has mental ill health. And a 3rd member of my family who lives outside of my borough, which is Lewisham, by the way, he lives, the third member lives in West London, and he has a learning disability. And so I'm very much involved in mental health issues. And I also would like to say that, to mention the PCREF, which is Parent and Carer Race Equality Framework, which is a NHS initiative that's being piloted in 4 areas of the UK. That's South London and Maudsley, Slam, East London, Manchester, and Birmingham. And this is something it's going on until next year. It's ongoing. At the moment, PCREF, Slam PCREF are on the verge of sending out some leaflets. And I would like to ask people here present to look out for these. And also, the leaflets actually relate to forthcoming public meetings that are going to happen, I think, next month or October, I can't remember which. I've achieved the venerable age of 81. So forgive me if I forget things. I forget a few things, but
you had made a great point about the potential of community pharmacies as it related to providing support for health.
Yes, definitely, and the need and just to reinforce the need for a consultation room in pharmacies.
Right. Yes.
A proper consultation room in pharmacies. I had a personal experience that was with a pharmacy a long time ago, and I had to ask to be taken to a private place where I could talk privately and personally, and it was more or less a cupboard. And I don't think that that's the best thing. So I'm hoping that situation improves and there's proper consultation room.
Raj a chance to bring us up to date on that one.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Brenda, and we appreciate the work that you're doing. And I'm really glad you brought up a very important cohort of patients, the learning disability patients. On the back of this Community Wellness Dialogues initiative, Bexley Mencap are going to be filming inside a community pharmacy in Bexley, in the consultation room and in the pharmacy, showing what we can offer learning disability patients. So that's very, very important for us as well. With regards to the consultation room, when we do our pharmaceutical needs assessment, it shows that 95% of pharmacies have a consultation room, and there is improvement. So we have a General Pharmaceutical Council now that actually will look at your premises and actually say to pharmacists whether their consultation rooms are appropriate. So part of the assurance that we have to give NHS England as well includes providing information about the consultation room. So it's happening. It's a slow process, but on the whole, the vast majority of pharmacies provide a consultation room which is compatible with the guidance that's offered by our professional bodies. So, but I'm quite happy to take your experience offline and we can discuss that. So I'm quite happy to do that as well. But so, I'm sure my colleagues Ian and Patricia have had experiences where we bring people into our consultation rooms, and they do value that because we have a different relationship with our patients. It's a little bit more informal, and they're able to discuss with us some of their very intimate concerns, and you can address them in the privacy of that room. I don't know whether Patricia or Ian, you've got any examples of that.
Yeah, I mean, from the point of view of community pharmacies, one of the things that we're very well known for is being accessible all the time. We see patients come in, sometimes they're children and they grow up with us. We see parents who get older with us. We see the grandparents. We basically are available. And a lot of community pharmacies will you know, I'm sure Ian and Raj will attest to that. We'll have people who've worked there for decades, sometimes, you know, 2-3 decades, and they've seen families grow up, and the pharmacists have also seen pharmacists, you know, sort of people grow up within the community. So we're very well trusted. So generally when they come in to see us, they know that they don't need an appointment. They may well have to wait a few minutes to speak with us, but we will always make that time. And if it's appropriate, we would often, you know, sort of tell them a good quiet time to come in. And a lot of our patients actually know when to come in, typically for certain types of conversations. And I think that's one of the things that we have as it's almost quite unique in terms of the healthcare, our role that we play within the NHS. We are literally the front door. Often they will come into us, we will have a conversation with our patients, and we can actually signpost them to appropriate places. If they need further, you know, sort of conversations with their GP, for example, or if they need to actually see a podiatrist or anything, we can actually refer them to the right places. So I think very often patients know that when they come to us, they're getting the right advice. And if we can't deal with it, we'll send them to the right place. And I think that's one of those things that makes them come back to us time and time again. And like Raj said earlier on, we, you know, throughout the pandemic, we've kept our doors open, and many patients will come back and say, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how many times, even up to today, they're still coming back and saying, thank you so much for staying open, and you're always there for us. Because that's what we've done, and that's what we do. And I think increasingly now it's being recognized that there's more that can be done and utilized within community pharmacy. So we were talking about, you know, the whole COVID, you know, sort of hesitancy, for example, and, you know, some people are worried about fertility. That's why they're not wanting to take it. They're worried about whether or not they're going to, you know, sort of pass on COVID via having, you know, sort of the vaccine, and even breastfeeding. These are all things that we can actually allay their fears about. And, you know, community pharmacy, there's everything in here. We can support you to actually get better, but we can also support you to actually not get unwell. So we've got the prevention as well as the health promotion aspect of it, you know, which we do very well. And most of us have teams that support us to do it.
Right. So thanks for that. So Ian, have you got the last quick point before I then close?
Okay. Yep. That's fine. It was just to add on what my two colleagues have just said there. I think the accessibility of pharmacists, especially community pharmacists, is key. And I think if you're going to talk about hesitancy of vaccination with COVID and everything else, you know, we are accessible. We are there. We are the guys with the information, the correct information, as opposed to what people are, you know, relying on, information that is, you know, being, you know, propagandas, you know, wrong information out there, misinformation. You can get to your pharmacist, and your pharmacist will give you the right information, the correct information, factual information to know about your general health, COVID, vaccination, anything else. The pharmacist is there.
Right, thanks for that. And Raj, and finally from you before we close.
I just want to thank everybody for providing some very valuable insights from the other side, shall we say. I mean, it's been a real joy, an experience, and Rudy and I will hope to continue this, reaching out into communities to bring that message of wellness and what community pharmacy can do to contribute to your prevention wellness agenda, and also if you are not well in a long-term condition, how we ensure that you stay at home and not have to go into hospital. So it's a balance for us, but it's been wonderful, and I want to thank everybody for that.
Thank you very much, Raj, and Hugh, thank you very much for being our host this evening, and take care, everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.